After Omni-Man was revealed to have killed the Guardians of the Globe, he left the planet for deep space. Sometime later, his son discovered his father on an alien planet, where the insect-like locals age faster than humans. Their average lifespan is about 9 months. Their planet is called Thraxa, and Omni-Man had become the ruler of that planet and even had a new wife and a son who was later named Oliver. So, Oliver Grayson was born on Thraxa to Nolan Grayson and Andressa. He was born with purple skin because his mother species wasn't as compatible with viltrumites as humans are. Oliver was hidden in a room with his mother until the viltrumites arrived to arrest Nolan. Mark grabs Oliver and Andressa and takes them to a cave on Thraxa, but they are found by Lucan. Mark hands Oliver to Andressa, and while Lucan is distracted, Mark attacks him. He grabs Oliver and attempts to get away from Lucan. Lucan catches up to the trio, but Nolan intervenes. Mark lands with the two until Nolan arrives to take them back to the caves. They go back, and he lands in the caves. After the brutal battle, Mark arrives to tell Andressa that Nolan has been captured. A month later, Oliver is taken by Mark to live with Mark's mother. Mark takes him because Andressa revealed that she will die soon and won't be able to take care of young Oliver. Because Oliver does not age like other Thraxans due to his viltrumite heritage. On Earth, Mark tells his mother about his brother and asks that she take care of him. Initially, Debbie reluctantly accepts, but she soon gets attached to him, and then Debbie takes care of Oliver and plays with him. Later, Oliver and Debbie are captured and held hostage by Angstrom Levy, hoping to get revenge against Mark. Angstrom held Oliver, complimenting his purple skin, before throwing him to Debbie. When Angstrom hurt Mark's mom, Oliver started crying. After Mark returned from another dimension, Debbie and Oliver were taken to a hospital at the Pentagon. After Angstrom was killed, Oliver would play with trucks until a tutor named April Howsam arrived to tutor Oliver. While Mark was in space, Oliver was being tutored by April, and April was amazed at Oliver's skill development. April stated that she was only there for less than a month, and he is already at 4th grade math and 7th grade reading. Mark later arrives from Mars, and Oliver plays catch with him. As they played catch, Oliver revealed to Mark that his power had finally surfaced. Mark's mom would find out about his powers and ask the duo to come inside. As Debbie left the house, Oliver was tutored by April, with the latter remarking on his exceptional academic profile. During one of Mark's battles, Oliver offers his aid, helping him defeat Tether Tyrant and Magmaniac. Oliver would see Mark again after his confrontation with Cecil Stedman and the Reaniman, and is worried for him. The next day, Mark would go to flight practice with Oliver, preparing him for a costume battle. Then they visit Art Rosenbaum. Oliver gets his first superhero costume and becomes Kid Omni-Man. On their first job, Mark and Oliver stop an attempted prison break. Oliver rushes ahead, only to be shocked by Kursk, but soon they defeat the duo, with Mark commending him for making a mistake. Later, after hearing the news from his mother, Oliver heads to a nuclear base and fights the Mauler twins. While Mark is in space, Oliver breaks one of the Maulers' jaws and angers them. Oliver, not knowing his own strength, rushes to him and kills one of them. The other Mauler offers his surrender, but Oliver's punch kills him as well. Oliver, who is shocked at his own strength, attempts to justify his actions. Cecil arrives to comfort him until Mark arrives, realizing what Oliver has done. Mark lectures Oliver on how human life is precious, but Oliver disagrees. Oliver goes on to say that in order to stop villains from hurting anyone again, they have to kill them. Oliver asks Mark if he ever thinks that their father is right, and Mark silently replies, "Sometimes." The next day, Mark and Oliver would argue again. Afterward, they make up and hug one another. Days later, Oliver would go on his first solo run and battles Rampage. He gets overwhelmed and is saved by Invincible. That night, Oliver notices that an orb-like camera is secretly watching the duo. Then, during the Invincible War, Oliver would battle one of the alternate Invincibles. He sustained moderate injuries from him, and after they were sent to another dimension, Bulletproof, Mark, and Oliver charged at Angstrom Levy. Oliver suggests that Mark kill him, and Mark was ready to do so. But before he can, Angstrom escapes into a different dimension, but loses his forearm in the process. Later, Oliver would assist in cleaning up the debris caused by the alternate Invincible variants. Later, while Mark is battling Conquest, Oliver sees it on the news and rushes to help Mark. He tries to catch up to them, but they are too fast for him, however. Oliver intervenes after they stop moving. But Mark knocks Oliver away from Conquest and attempts to keep Oliver from the battle, because Mark understood that Conquest can easily kill him. Oliver soon comes back, only to have his arm broken and nearly beaten to death by Conquest. After Mark's battle is over, he is then taken to the Pentagon to heal from his injuries. After Mark's battle with Conquest, Mark says that Oliver was right, and that the only way to stop villains from hurting anyone is to kill them. Oliver later appears before Mark and Eve with a new costume and is much older, and Mark asks Oliver to do jobs for his new private security firm. Later, Oliver sees his father again after he arrives to recruit some of Earth's heroes to fight in the Viltrumite War. Oliver asks to come along, but Mark insists that he stay in order to protect Earth. After having a brief talk with Nolan, Nolan decides to let Oliver help in the Viltrumite War. On their way to Talescria, the coalition of planet allies are attacked by Conquest, who ends up destroying their ship. Lucan and another Viltrumite arrive to assist Conquest. Oliver charges towards Conquest, only to be slapped away. He is attacked by Lucan until Nolan intervenes. Oliver lands a blow on Lucan, but due to his lack of air in space, he heads to a nearby habitable planet. Conquest charges for him, but Mark stops Conquest. Oliver flies over after seeing a crash, only to see Conquest dead and his brother nearly killed in the process of their battle. Oliver and Nolan would spend the next few months on that planet until Mark recovers. After Mark's recovery, they head to Talescria to assist in the battle effort. Mark and Oliver crash into a Viltrumite warship, and the Viltrumites retreat. They throw the ship into space and tend to the fallen. Afterwards, Thaddeus leads a charge of Battle Beast, Space Racer, Tech Jacket, Alan the Alien, his father, and his brother. They head to the planet Viltrum until a Viltrumite woman ambushes them. Battle Beast smacks her with his mace, and the group proceeds to battle. Oliver lands a low blow on one of them and heads to Thragg after he knocks back Mark. Thragg catches Oliver's punch and dismembers his arm while breaking Oliver's jaw, nearly killing him in the process. After Viltrum's destruction, Mark helps Oliver until he is left to die by Thragg and the other Viltrumites. After getting rescued, the Coalition transports Oliver to a hospital in Talescria. Oliver would be given a cybernetic jaw and arm while being placed in a stasis tank to accelerate his healing process. Later, Oliver recovers from his injuries and has his new cybernetic parts calibrated. While recovering, he would stay with Alan and Telia. Oliver goes to fight crime, only for it to be stopped by police. Nolan arrives to the scene, and the duo heads to see Debbie. While staying at Nolan and Debbie's place, he's annoyed by them having sex, much like Nolan was with Alan and Telia. Alan comes there, and Alan asks that Oliver leave them in private. He notices that Alan and Nolan are fighting. He offers his aid to his father and attacks Alan. Security arrives to the scene, and Alan explains that he plans to release the improved Scourge virus into the atmosphere of Earth. After Alan explains that he will kill the Viltrumites and possibly sacrifice the human race, Oliver agrees with Alan. Nolan explains his side and how the Viltrumites will change because Earth changed him as well. Oliver goes on to say that he has studied human history and that humans are selfish. Nolan would attempt to fight Oliver, but stops after he remembers his battle with Mark. Alan attacks Nolan and the duo head to Earth. When they arrived, they are greeted by Mark. Alan reveals his plan to Mark, much to Mark's disapproval. Mark explains to Alan how this isn't much different than what happened to his race. Mark attacks him, and Oliver attempts to stop him. Thragg appears before the trio and reveals that he knows about Alan's plan. Thragg offers a truce and explains that after the virus is dispensed and Alan is killed, they are back to the same situation. Alan reluctantly accepts, much to Oliver's disapproval. Soon, the Guardians of the Globe arrive and attempt to arrest Mark. They battle, and Oliver manages to grab the virus dispenser from Alan's gadget belt. He flies to Earth, only to be stopped by Mark. Mark grabs the dispenser, and Oliver battles him for it. They argue, and Oliver accidentally shoots the fumes into Mark's face. Oliver rushes to catch him, but Alan stops him, citing that due to his viltrumite heritage, the virus could infect him too. So, Mark is then taken into the viltrumite warship to be tested, and Oliver waits in the lobby, worried about Mark. Oliver and Alan head to visit Tech Jacket, only to assist him in fighting an alien. They are saved by Eve, and she takes Alan and Oliver to Earth to help Mark, assuming Dinosaurus is trying to hurt him. When they attack his base, Dinosaurus grabs and attempts to fight Oliver, Alan, and Bulletproof. Mark attacks Alan, and the four notice the blow has caused severe damage to Mark's arm. They head to see Tech Jacket again and were invited by another alien to their mothership. Later, they arrive at the Grayson household, with Mark furious at the duo for not helping stop the Flaxan invasion in London. Mark apologizes, and Alan informs him that Oliver and him will be heading to Talescria. Oliver asks that Alan leave them, and he cries, apologizes for infecting Mark. Mark accepts and forgives his brother. Then Oliver heads to Talescria with Alan. Sometime after his departure from Earth, Oliver would meet a girl named Haluma, an alien with a lobster-like appearance. 6 months after, he would age and don a new appearance, similar to his father's old coalition outfit. Later, he would arrive to welcome Mark and Eve with terror. He offers to cook dinner for them, with Mark accepting. He arrives at Mark and Eve's to introduce Haluma to them. Mark and Oliver talk about Haluma's appearance, with Oliver commenting on how he saw humans. After dinner is finished, the four of them eat, and Oliver leaves with Haluma. The night after, Oliver and Haluma hear about Terra's condition and are concerned about how she is doing. When they visit Terra, Mark yells at them, demanding to know what Haluma fed them. Haluma argues with Mark, and Oliver breaks them apart until Eve arrives to tell Mark that Terra is fine. Later, after Mark is asked to finish off Thragg while he is weakened in his fight with Battle Beast, Oliver joins his side. They never find Thragg or Battle Beast in the aftermath of the battle, but Mark and Oliver are informed by a local that Battle Beast's body was burned in a public celebration, implying that Thragg was victorious. Later, they return to their spaceship, where they find Space Racer and Thresher floating in a debris field. Oliver and Mark bring them into the ship and put them in medical stasis pods. Thresher breaks out of her pod and goes into a fit of rage over the death of Battle Beast. Mark and Oliver hold her down before Space Racer calms her down. Mark and Oliver meet with Alan about Thragg not being found. Alan invites them all to a movie later that night, and Oliver goes with Haluma. Oliver assures Eve that Terra will like the movie, but later, Terra starts crying. Oliver apologizes, and the next day, he patrols Talescria with Mark. They find an illegal Canslock farm and kill a beast known as a Rhinax. Alan asks Mark and Oliver to go on another mission to defeat Thragg. Oliver is excited about the mission, until Mark reminds him that Thragg severely injured him the last time they fought. When they arrive, they discover that Thragg has vanished. In shock, they ask the Coalition's spy, but he does not know where Thragg went either. Mark and Oliver split up to search. Mark wanders into a mysterious cave, and Oliver warns him not to explore it before their radio transmission cuts off. Mark's whereabouts turn out to be unknown to Oliver and everyone else who searched for him afterwards. So, Oliver had gone through a traumatic experience while Mark was in his 5-year time jump, but he returned to active duty. When Mark returns after 5 years, Oliver sees Mark and goes to see what's going on with him. Mark cries and Oliver comforts him. After the party, Oliver goes to his house and sees Haluma taking care of their twin children. He gives her a kiss and goes into the room. He reports to Thragg, revealing Oliver's double agent status. Oliver later visits Alan in the hospital and then says goodbye to Mark, who is going back to visit Earth. In the days of Alan's recovery, Oliver reports to him on Thragg's activities. Oliver later asks Thragg to meet in person. Thragg contacts Oliver and asks that he prove his loyalty to the viltrumite cause. Thragg reveals that he and 2 of his children are going to kill Mark and his family. He asks that Oliver do nothing about this, including warning them. Oliver begs Thragg to reconsider, suggesting that he could sway Mark to their cause, but Thragg's mind is made up. Thragg breaks contact just before Haluma comes in to ask why he was shouting. Oliver later arrives on planet Kultak to see Thragg threatening Mark's daughter, Terra. Oliver surprises him and tells Terra to find her parents. Thragg gains the upper hand, and Terra tries to stop him, and he breaks her leg in the process. A furious Oliver fights back, claiming that Thragg really hates the Grayson family because they are the descendants of Argol, meaning that they are destined to be the leaders Thragg never will be. Thragg impales him in response and says, "This is the blood of Argol." Mark looks at Oliver and kills Thragg's son. After Thragg and his daughter leaves, Eve heals herself and Mark. She also tries to heal Oliver, but says that he was already gone. So yeah, that's all.